After Harrison Barnes departed from the Golden State Warriors, the Dallas Mavericks brought him in hopes that he would become their next star. This season has been a tough one for the Mavericks, and in today's video, we're going to discuss whether or not Harrison Barnes is actually a star. Looking at why Harrison Barnes left the Golden State Warriors in the first place, it was because he was a role player. He played behind Curry, behind Thompson, behind Draymond, and he felt like he could get a bigger role, maybe even a star role on another team, which he did with the Mavericks, and many people thought that he was going to leave even before the Warriors signed Kevin Durant, so his move was inevitable. But anyways, he got a 4-year, $94.5 million deal with the Mavs, which is absolutely ridiculous money, especially for a player who was a fourth option on a team before. So many people were skeptical as soon as this contract was announced. And this season, he averaged 19.5 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game on 46% field goal shooting. And on first look, these might not look like bad numbers, but when you look at the money he was paid and how this ranks among the other top NBA players, he was 33rd in scoring, 84th in rebounding, and 158th in assists. So he wasn't in the top 30 in any statistical category or any major statistical category. And for a player getting paid ridiculous money, 4 years, $94.5 million, and many people thought that he could be a star, but nobody thought that he deserved that contract in the first place. He has explosive moments, but it isn't always that way. He looks off some games, he has an inconsistent jump shot, and his explosiveness is inconsistent too. He's okay on defense, he's okay on offense, and I don't really think he can be the star player of a team because he isn't elite on either end of the floor. He hasn't looked like a leader of a Mavs either. One thing that stars need to have is skill, but the other thing that they need to have is leadership. And to be honest, Seth Curry and Yogi Ferrell have looked like more of leaders than Harrison Barnes has, and that's unacceptable considering that those guys get paid like $10 million or less a year. I know Yogi Ferrell gets paid barely anything, and they look like more of leaders than the guy that they just recently signed for almost $100 million. So looking at the leadership, or the lack of leadership, and the lack of production that they've gotten from Harrison Barnes, I don't think that Harrison Barnes can be the star of the Mavs. The Mavs are having one of their worst seasons in a while after bringing in Harrison Barnes, and even though he doesn't have a ton of help, there are decent players around him. Seth Curry, Yogi Ferrell, Dirk Nowitzki, even though he's old, he still produces some numbers, and I don't think that the lack of help is any excuse for how poorly Harrison Barnes performed. And like I said before, his numbers at first glance aren't bad, but when you consider that he is considered the star of the Mavericks and the amount of money that they paid him, he needs to be a 25, 5-5 guy, and he just wasn't that this year. Do I think that Harrison Barnes could become the star of the Mavs? That remains to be seen. I'm not sure he can, honestly. He's already kind of reached his prime. He doesn't have a lot of potential, and I think that he could be a good contributor on the Mavs, but in my opinion, he is not the future of the Mavs. He's not the star of the Mavs, and I think that they'll be in a similar position next year unless they sign someone. I think that they won't make the playoffs next year. I don't think that they'll make the playoffs with Harrison Barnes as their star unless they get a very good supporting player or players around him. Please leave your thoughts on whether or not Harrison Barnes is a star or can become a star in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I will be bringing more sports content in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.